There is a sort of satisfaction when everyone is just terrified of the main character. A feeling of superiority and that look in their eyes as they stare at their inferior enemies with disdain. Personally, it gives me goosebumps. As a bonus, we can also be sure that they will be mysterious, cold and extremely kakoi. Please enjoy our list of anime where everyone is afraid of the main character. Imagine a kingdom ignorant to rain or even clouds, a kingdom where the sun shines at its brightest every single day. This kingdom is called the Sun Kingdom. In complete contrast to the Sun Kingdom, we have the Rain Dukedom. It's a small land very far away, where rain almost never stops falling. The people living there are also very special. They have the ability to summon rain, storm, or hurricane with the power of their songs. Because of this, they are feared by the outside world. Livius Ifriqiya is the ruler of the Sun Kingdom. At a very young age, due to his incredible intellect, influence and almighty personality, he took over the country and unified it under his rule. To the people who don't personally know him, he is a calculative tyrant that will stop at nothing to get what he wants. No one dares to oppose him, no one dares to wrong him, and all his subjects respect and fear him at the same time. When he learned about the gift possessed by the citizens of the Rain Dukedom, he decides to take his wife Princess Nike Remersir to add to his influence and at the same time quench his curiosity about the phenomenon he never saw before. Upon getting the news about Livius's demand, Nike, who heard everything about his sadistic tendencies and his cruelty, was preparing to face horrors. The meeting with the child that thinks himself a man will leave the princess in shock. The kawaii tyrant is half her height, might as well be still wearing a diaper. Is she really supposed to be scared of a little brat? Bearers of cursed eyes, known as alpha stigma, have the ability to analyze and mimic all kinds of magic. But their power is omnipotent and impossible to control. Every mage chosen as a vessel loses his mind to the voice echoing in their heads, forcing them to destroy and annihilate every living thing in sight. The ones who possess the power of the alpha stigma are considered monsters to be avoided at all costs if you cherish your life. Reiner Lute is one of the unfortunates who awakened the cursed eyes at a very young age. On a rampage and bathed in blood, everybody he ever cared about abandoned him. Even he is terrified of himself and constantly tries to keep his emotions in check in order to avoid another massacre. He, therefore, decides to hide his power and never use magic again. He is then forced to make a choice: stay at the orphanage, who is a face to experiment on children, or enroll in the Roland Empire's Magician Academy. His decision was easy to take. Now a new recruit, to make sure his comrades never discover his secret, he acts like a lazy loser who couldn't cast the simplest of spells. One person saw right through him. He knew what he was, and yet he wanted him as an ally and a friend. That person was not the famous Xian Steele, the next king of the nation. Xian gives Reiner the task of searching for the relics that can save their nation from destruction. Train Hirtnet is a renowned elite assassin working for Kronos. Succeeding every request with overwhelming professionalism, even among his kind he is feared and respect for his talent for assassination. He shows no mercy, no guilt, a human life is nothing to him. They gave him the nickname Black Cat for his swiftness, agility and his discretion. One night, Train meets Saya Minatsuki, a bounty hunter with a weird take on life. They become friends really fast, and Say's kind heart slowly starts to influence and change Train. He finally decides to leave Kronos and abandon the name of Black Cat. But old habits die hard, and when faced with a problem, the only thing one can train of doing is killing it. Soon he will be pursued by other members of the organization, because as you can imagine, you cannot leave a notorious group of assassins with your life. But most of the members are too scared to face him. Only one, his arch-rival, dares to go after him. He must not care much for his life. Stas Charlie Blood lives in the demon world. He is the leader of the Eastern District, and he is one of the oldest and most powerful of the vampire race. No one dares to trespass in his territory, no one even dares to talk back to him. To the outside world, Stas is a cruel bloodthirsty monster who sees others only as food. In reality, Stas is an otaku who couldn't care less about blood. He doesn't care about his influence or in growing his territory. The management of the Eastern District is left to his trusted underling, and he passes his days playing video games and reading mangas. One day, a girl who goes by the name Fayumi Yanagi ends up in Stas' territory by pure coincidence. Excitement can be seen in Stas' eyes when he learns that she is Japanese, and for some reason, he feels like he is attracted to her. At that very moment, the Eastern District is invaded, and the territory turns into a battlefield which leads to Fayumi's ultimate death. She turns into a ghost and Stas grabs the opportunity to go to the human world, something he always dreamed of doing, in order to turn her back to normal. Along the way, Stas' real identity will be revealed, an identity even scarier than the current one. Something that the humans now call the Heaven's Gate suddenly appeared out of nowhere in South America. Soon after, in Japan, Hell's Gate made its appearance. With the arrival of the gates, the sky as we know it disappeared and was replaced by a new one. Each star in the sky represents the life of a contractor. A contractor is a human that awakens a special ability. But when you gain something you have to give back as well. With the tremendous power they acquire, they lose the ability to feel and become emotionless weapons. Each time a star falls from the sky means a contractor drew his last breath. Nothing can distinguish the difference between humans and contractors except, of course, for their stranger power and the fact that each time they use their ability they have to fulfill an action, something like a payment, that comes instinctively to them. Between all the contractors there is one they call the Black Reaper, and his real name is Hei. Is special, not only does he not have to pay a price to use his power, he also sustained his ability to feel. He is the contractor with a 100% success rate. No one knows who he really looks like, and he leaves no witnesses behind. He is the best assassin, and with the title comes the extreme fear that others feel towards him. Hai works for an organization called the Syndicate. After accepting requests after requests he realizes that something far greater is going on, something that concerns the lives of all contractors on Earth. But he doesn't really give a shit, his only goal is to find his sister, another contractor that he lost during an incident at Hell's Gate. There is nothing more terrifying than facing an opponent who cannot die. Imagine killing someone over and over just to see him get up again, as if nothing happened. Majin, who is known throughout the land as the 100-Man Killer, is a master swordsman, and as his title suggests he managed to kill more than 100 men, but those men were not warriors nor enemies, they were innocent people who barely knew how to wield a sword. But it's not his cruelty and murderous tendencies that made every man tremble in fear, if you just mention his name, it's the fact that the deadly monster is also immortal. Immortality, an ability that should have been considered a gift, is in fact a curse that an old nun called Yayabikuni bestowed upon him by placing healing bloodworms inside Majin's body. To lift the curse, the nun asked him to kill 1,000 sinful men to redeem himself. A journey of endless hunting, bloodshed, vengeance and tragedies will begin. Renton Thurston is 14-year-old. He lives in a town called Belforest with his grandfather. His grandfather is a mechanic, and he wishes for his grandson to follow in his footsteps as his late father did. But Renton doesn't want such a mundane life and would rather leave this boring town behind him. To do so, he tries to enroll in Eureka State, a mercenary troop. Stopped by his stubborn grandpa, the only adventure of his daily life is to surf through Traper wave particles. One day, an unidentified entity smashes into his garage. That thing turned out to be a robot known as a light-finding operation. Like himself, this robot has the ability to ride particles. The pilot is a member of the mercenary group Renton tried to join earlier, and her name is Eureka. Eureka commissions the young mechanic to fine-tune her machine, making him along the way her co-pilot. The brilliant pilot and genius mechanic form an unstoppable duo on the battlefield. Their name spreads through the land and strikes fear on any enemy unlucky enough to have to face them.
こんな風にピンポイントでマナを集中させればいいのか。
Akudosai is an idealist. He wants to make the world a better place with his own two hands. He enrolls in the Constant Magic Academy to get closer to his goal. Upon entering the school, you have to submit to a prophecy that will determine what you will become in the future. Akudo was imagining receiving the title of knight or hero, not the title of demon king. I mean, come on, the guy genuinely wants to save the world. The news spread throughout the school in a second, and obviously everybody was terrified of him. But Akudo didn't lose his determination and was still set on becoming a righteous and just leader. He will stop at nothing to make his classmates trust him and believe in him. But his uncontrollable power will get in his way, bursting out at the worst times. Hajime Nagumo and all his classmates were summoned to another world to become heroes that would save the humans from the demon race. Every one of them got a skill, a power that matches their abilities in combat. Hajime drew the short straw and got a skill practically useless in battle. Between all his comrades he was the weakest. The weakest but the bravest. While training in a dungeon, he was betrayed by one of his supposed friends. He fell to the deepest level of the dungeon. Alone and injured, surrounded by monsters 100 times stronger than himself, he was ready to give up and surrender to despair. When he was about to get eaten, the monster was killed by another one, and Hajime took the opportunity to eat it in a desperate last attempt at survival. He assimilated the monster's strength and continued hunting and eating every creature in the dungeon while trying to find a way out. Leveling up at a tremendous rate, he soon became something between a human and a monster. The kind and shy Hajime changed completely. Now overpowered and living in hell, his personality also changed. He became a cold person who never hesitated to kill, whether it be a demon or a human. In the dungeon, he found a room. In that room a vampire was sealed. He freed her and gave her the name Yu. They became partners, and soon their relationship developed even further and turned into love. They both decided to get out and find a way to go back to the world Hajime lived in, together. When he was reunited with his former classmates, they couldn't recognize him. Defeating the strongest of enemies in the cruelest ways possible, they quickly started to fear him. The human ruler who summoned him also saw him as a threat he couldn't control and started planning his removal. Berserk is an iconic anime. To enjoy it fully, better not get into many details and leave it to you to discover this masterpiece. Let's just talk about the protagonist, Guts, a member of the mercenary group the Band of the Falcon led by the charismatic Griffith. Guts possesses incredible strength, godly instincts, and a body that just doesn't seem human. Capable of killing opponents 3 times his size, destroying a squadron of his own, and no matter how many injuries he suffers, it's like he cannot be killed. Known throughout the land to be merciless, which he is, all his enemies curse the heavens to have him as an opponent. Even the leader Griffith, through his incredible sword technique and his genius intellect, is enough to strike fear in the heart of others. The two paired together form an unstoppable force that no one wants to face. I will just finish with a piece of advice: know your enemy and be careful who you pick a fight with. So those are our picks for the 10 anime where everyone is afraid of the main character. If you have some anime on your mind, or if there are any that we missed, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell for more anime content like this. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. See ya.